I said, what was your expectation versus the reality? And one of the members of the team said, this is way harder than I thought. I thought some people were going to come out of the woodwork and just sign up. What they thought was marketing was going to make things happen. When in reality, and I told them this, I said, sales is the way you're going to win. Podcast Growth Nation, welcome back to another episode of Podcast Growth University, where we talk all things podcasting all the time. I hope you enjoyed the latest episode. It was episode number 45, how to get on other shows and what to do after. Very good episode because I didn't realize how important getting on other shows was. Again, not just for getting listeners, but also the potential of getting clients as well. So make sure you listen to that one if you are in that boat in that season. Today, for episode number 46, you need to understand the difference between marketing and sales. So I cannot tell you how many people I've spoken to, and one of the things they say is, yeah, podcasting is great. It's free marketing. It's like, no, yeah, I understand. I understand what you're saying. It's free content creation. It's free opportunity to connect with your audience. It's a lot of things, but I think people have a misunderstanding when it comes to marketing versus sales. So, quick definition. Again, I don't know where you're at in terms of your understanding of marketing and or sales. I don't want to assume you don't know anything. I don't want to assume you know everything. So I figure I'll just make it simple. The definition of marketing, the definition of sales, and then we'll kind of dive into the episode. So the definition of marketing: the activity or business of promoting and selling products or services, including market research and advertising. The activity or business of promoting and selling products or services. Selling products is in there. Sale: the exchange of a commodity for money, the action of selling something. And it makes it pretty easy there. So here's what I see oftentimes. When people are talking about marketing, there's a misconception that you're going to do an episode and you're going to have a call to action, and then you're going to share your social media content online. You're going to share a teaser clip, and then a bunch of people are going to flood to your podcast, and it's going to work really, really well, and then people are just going to come out of the woodwork, and they're just going to sign up, and they're going to pay for group coaching. They're going to pay for your course. They're going to pay for your retreat, whatever it is. When in the vast majority of cases, a lot of that is reminder marketing, and that's what we call priming. So just as an example, the reason social media is so important for most of us is it's just a constant reminder and a constant priming that, hey, I'm still here and I'm still doing this. Hey, I'm still here, I'm still doing this. Hey, if you want to work together, I'm still here and I'm still doing this. I was working with a pair of clients recently, and they just started their first group coaching. So we've done 9 groups. We're on our 10th group right now, halfway through. So we've graduated a little over 100 people. And I said, what was your expectation versus the reality? And one of the members of the team said, this is way harder than I thought. I thought some people were going to come out of the woodwork and just sign up. What they thought was marketing was going to make things happen. When in reality, and I told them this, I said, sales is the way you're going to win, right? You're going to have to message people. You're going to have to make a list. We talked about a listener list earlier. The reason a listener list is so important is because that is necessary for sales. Now, I want you to think about this. We had a client who has 150,000 followers on social media. Their average listens per episode was probably 4,000. So you're getting 4,000 listens per episode, and that's on audio. Then maybe just say a couple hundred on YouTube. So let's just say 4,000, okay? Out of those 4,000, you might only convert 1%. You might only convert 40 people to something based on just marketing alone. And I think that's where a lot of people are getting lost is there's people with giant shows that are teaching you to do certain things. And they're saying, put this post up and do a testimonial and have somebody do a testimonial for you, all this stuff. When in reality, the vast majority of us are going to have to learn sales. So when I say you need to understand the difference between marketing and sales, all I mean is this. You need to have accurate expectations of what each one is going to consist of and how often you're going to have to do each one. Because I think a lot of people assume, oh, okay, I have a podcast where I'm talking about something, I'll share the social media content out there, and then I'm going to get a bunch of people that flock to me. When in reality, it creates an opportunity for a conversation, but you're going to have to practice some sort of sale. It just is that way. It just is, because you are, again, starting a business, right? This is a new business. So it's not necessarily the same as it is with, like, if you're opening a cookie shop or something, where you can, throw some signs up and that type of thing. You can market, right? We're not necessarily running Facebook ads. We're not necessarily paying for reach or views. So a lot of what we're going to have to do is sales. And all I mean by that is this. I don't want you to think you have to message somebody every day and say, hey, do you want to sign up for my coaching? Hey, do you want to sign up for this? Hey, do you want to sign up for this? I think sales, a good frame is having one-on-one conversations with your audience. That's what I think. I think the marketing is posting on social media, posting podcast episodes, adding value, content. I think that's all marketing. I think sales is getting somebody who follows you on social media to listen to the podcast, getting somebody who listens to the podcast to join a Facebook group, and then move them through the business, because that's going to help you it's going to help you raise your conversion rate. It'll help you increase your conversion rate, because if you're just relying on marketing, you're just relying on it happening on its own, it's not going to work that way. It's not going to work that way. I've really started to understand one of the reasons we've been quote unquote successful is because we're doing a lot of conversations behind the scenes. And it's just become normal to us that there's always a sales cycle going on, but here's the difference. It's not necessarily leading to a purchase. It's not necessarily leading to an exchange of funds. It's not necessarily leading to somebody buying something. It might be them joining Next Level Nation. It might be them Next Level Nation's our private Facebook group, for those who don't know. It might be them coming to a monthly meetup, that type of thing. And I think that's just an important understanding to have, where a lot of us, I think, we have this belief that, number one, sales is bad. Number two, sales is asking for something when it isn't necessarily. Okay, so think of this. For our other podcast, I created a Facebook ad. I actually just used one of our teaser clips. So our audience struggles with holding on to people that they shouldn't necessarily hold on to because they're probably not what's best for their future. So I put up a teaser clip, and it's basically me talking about that, right? Not everybody's supposed to be in your life forever. There are reasons, there are seasons. Are the people in your life the best from your past or the best for your future? And we threw $150 at this ad, and I told a client this recently. I said, here, this is the interesting thing. I don't ask for anything in the ad. I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm not trying to convert to a purchase. I'm not trying to make direct money off of that. The reason I like that to be the ad is because, number one, I'm adding value, but the only quote-unquote sale that I'm trying to get is I'm trying to get them to listen to the podcast based on the fact that they're experiencing what the ad is suggesting. So I told my client, I said, I'm willing to bet if you do the same thing, you'll get way better results than if you just ran a normal ad, because it's adding value. It's a very interesting mix of marketing and sales, because it's solving a problem, but it's also helping somebody move through the business.
Hey Kevin, Kim here. Just wanted to send you a video to say thank you so much for your help on creating the Peaceful Productivity Podcast. I couldn't have done it without you. I knew you'd be lots of great help with the technical aspects of getting the podcast going, but you went well above and beyond that. You helped me with the strategy, and you gave me all kinds of really great support. I think the key to success in business is a great attitude, and you have that in spades. You really walk the walk. So thanks again. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.
So my question for you, a couple questions. One, what is your relationship with marketing? Maybe you don't have one. I didn't have any relationship with marketing or sales in the beginning of this journey. Question two, what is your relationship with sales? Because many of us were going to have to learn sales, whatever that means to you, right? I happen to practice sales quite often now, where I'm talking about, potentially $1,000 packages per month for certain clients, and we're having open and honest conversations about that. But let's do this, right? And this is just an example. I had somebody reach out to me the other day, one of our clients, and they said, hey, I have somebody who wants to start a podcast. Do you want to talk to them? I said, yeah, of course. I sent them a link for a free call. We jumped on the phone and they just asked me. This was a sales conversation. They said, what do you do and how much does it cost? And I said, well, what are you looking for? Right? I need to know the specifics so I can give you an accurate price. They told me, I gave them a price. Now we work together. There was no marketing there. That was all sales. And for you, you're going to have that opportunity at some point. So I guess my ultimate goal in this episode, this will probably be a shorter episode, but my ultimate goal in this episode is for you to understand that many people think marketing is 80% and sales is 20%. Yes, for some businesses, that is the way. Okay, sure. Maybe Amazon.com, it's 80% marketing and people come and they spend money. Sure. Apple, maybe the same thing. But for most of us, it's going to be closer to maybe 70% sales and 30% marketing in terms of the results. I'm not saying that's where your energy should go necessarily. I think you should put 100% into both. But the results you're going to get aren't going to be just because you put a social media post up. It's not going to be just because you dropped an episode. I always say this, and you've heard me say it. What you do before a podcast episode and what you do after a podcast episode are just as important, if not more important, than the podcast episode itself. So don't try to reverse engineer what a lot of these bigger shows are doing, because they didn't necessarily get there in the way that they're telling you they got there. And here's an example. I think we got either 7 or 9 new Next Level Podcast Solutions clients over the last month. And that's like the biggest month we've ever had. It was also the easiest month we've ever had in terms of getting clients. But that doesn't mean if you do the same thing we're doing, it'll be easy. It's just based on the fact that we have momentum. It's based on the fact that a lot of those referrals. It's based on the fact that we have 1,350 episodes in our other podcast. It's based on a lot of factors that people might think are marketing, when in reality, it's other stuff. It's social proof, it's credibility, it's momentum, it's referrals, it's trust, right? But behind all of that is sales. So anytime you are taking advice from anybody, including myself, I always want you to filter the advice through your own experience, because a lot of people can forget what got them to where they are, and they can just tell you what they're doing today, right? Well, I kind of just show up and it works out. Okay. Did it always? No. Okay. What were you doing in the beginning? Were you doing marketing and sales? All right, cool. Interesting. So that's really my goal in this episode. Twofold. One, I want you to understand what your relationship with marketing is. I want you to understand what your relationship with sales is. If you haven't studied marketing and if you haven't studied sales, I think that would probably benefit you a lot. One book, I can't think of the name. Oh, This is Marketing. It's a great book by Seth Godin. He's a very, very well-known, well-respected marketer, and it's not sleazy. It's very aligned. It's really good. It's a really good book. I always recommend that to people. And there's a bunch of sales books out there. Honestly, what I tell people all the time, just be yourself and solve the person's problems. One of my clients, when I was doing more mindset coaching, she said, hey, I got a job at a car dealership. What advice do you have? I said, be yourself, be nice, be warm, be inviting, just be yourself, and just try to solve the people's problems, honestly. Don't try to upsell them. Don't try to make them get things they don't need. Just solve their problems. And in her first year, she did $100,000 in sales. Now, she's a very beautiful woman, and that helps, and maybe she works at a dealership that has a lot of business, but I think sometimes just being yourself and getting confident, having conversations about money is a beneficial thing, because I know a lot of us have blocks around that. So when I say you need to understand the difference between marketing and sales, all I really mean is you have to have accurate expectations. If you think every time you drop an episode, you're going to get a bunch of clients that reach out, I would argue that most likely won't happen. It doesn't happen for most people. And it doesn't happen for most of the people I work with. It didn't happen for us. It doesn't happen when I drop these episodes. I don't have a bunch of people that reach out every time. It doesn't work that way, right? The show's not big enough yet. But if I'm having conversations behind the scenes, I've gotten a lot of people who said, hey, I love Podcast Grow With You. I listen to every episode. That's more of a sales conversation because I'm moving them into the business at a deeper level. Doesn't mean they're giving me money. It doesn't mean I'm asking them for anything. It just means I'm behind the scenes one-on-one with that person. So ask yourself those questions and do some studying. I think that would be very beneficial. Do some studying on marketing, do some studying on sales, do some studying on money and your relationship with it, your relationship with sales, all of that stuff. That will hugely benefit you because, again, at the end of the day, you are starting a business. I understand it's a podcast, but it is a business. And that business, if you're going to grow and you're going to monetize and you're going to do this for the long run, most likely that business is going to lead to revenue. It's going to lead to money, and there's a conversation between the thought of exchanging goods for money and actually doing it. So I would challenge you in the best way to do that. I think it would be very powerful for all of you watching and or listening. And I guess the too long didn't listen summary would be this. Marketing is probably going to create less concrete results than you would guess, and you're probably going to have to rely more on sales than you realize. I could be wrong, of course. Maybe you're really, really good at marketing. Maybe you have a product or service that's really easy to market, but I think a lot of it is going to be sales of you moving people through the business. That is what I will say. As always, if you are interested in a free 30-minute podcast breakthrough session, just click the link in the show notes. I will draw up a business plan for you. We can talk about your audience. We can name some episodes together. Whatever will be the most valuable, I am more than happy to do. Honestly, I am jazzed to do. So click the link in the show notes if you are interested. Next week for episode number 47, a simple way to record higher quality video and audio. I'm excited to talk about that one. That should be an easy, valuable episode for you all. Thank you again for tuning in. I love you all very much. We're almost coming up on a year of episodes, which is just mind-blowing to me. It's gone by very, very, very fast. If I can support you in any way, never hesitate to send me a DM at NeverQuitKid on Instagram. You can Facebook, whatever. Whatever's easiest for you, just reach out. I am here for you. Until next week, keep on podcasting. Keep on crushing it, and we will talk to you next week.